All right, welcome back to another episode of the Fan Connection podcast. For those of you watching live on Twitch or after the fact on YouTube, as you can see, we have a brand new overlay. It's not anything crazy. I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, but I put it together quickly, or not quickly. I did work really hard on this, but I did put it together myself. So clearly, you can tell it's a little bit homemade. I got to work on it a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with it so far. Uh, anyway, the first topic for today. Paunch, that's a nice looking jersey. What's going on there?
Yeah, so kind of on the topic of jerseys, there's the new Timeless Classics that we're going to talk about in a bit. But it's a San Jose Sharks Golden State collaboration, and it's a little weird fitting because it's like a warm up. It's not an actual like Adidas jerseys. It's one of the warm up ones they used, and yeah, got my hands on it for really
Did,
cheap.
did they wear it in a warm up or anything, or is it just like just a fun thing they did?
I think they wore it in a warm up when the Golden State Warriors were in the finals or something like that.
Okay. That is pretty nice though. I like it.
Yeah, it's very nice. And for those of you who can't see, it's basically like an away jersey for the San Jose Sharks. So it's like all white, but then instead of the Sharks' regular colors, they got a nice blue, like a dark blue and a yellow. So it's a nice combination between, as you said, the Golden Warriors and the San Jose Sharks. Right? Did I say that right?
Golden State Warriors.
Golden State. Thank you.
Are you guys? I didn't get the memo, man. You're wearing a jersey too.
I'm
and
also
Ponch's
wearing a
one?
jersey. I'm wearing the Habs reverse retro in light of their beautiful winning streak. Let's go. Hottest team in the NHL right now. No other team in the NHL has a longer winning streak. Thanks, Calgary, for losing your recent game. Sorry, Ponch, but you're no longer the hottest team in the league.
Oh, that was a good game, man.
Montreal's taken over. And with that win over Ottawa, that 2-1 win, a riveting game between two terrible teams. Great game. But huge shout out to Spider-Man from Naruto and Air Snacks for hanging out in the chat. Kessel. And
he's got a Spider-Man from Naruto. Sorry, I'm psyched. Spider-Man from Naruto has a Kessel Toronto jersey.
Damn, that's a good throwback. I mean, it's been two teams, right? He's already on Arizona. He went to Penguins, so it's been a hot minute since he played in Toronto. That's a good jersey, man. That's nice. And Air Snacks, I appreciate you loving the Habs jersey. It is the reverse retro for those of you listening. It's the blue, main blue with the red and white. So le bleu, blanc, et rouge, but blue is very much the main color on this one. So I love this jersey. It was cursed last season, supposedly. Like I remember last year during the bubble, it was like a talking point for the Habs. They couldn't win in this jersey, and then they finally did. So I love this jersey, though. I haven't worn it yet to any of my games on Saturdays. I think I'm going to wear it to this weekend's game. I'm going to ask to be on the dark team. So I love this jersey, and hopefully I'll get to wear it. And Berta, what's your jersey over there?
Yeah, mine's also the reverse retro from last year. And it's funny you say that because I didn't even know that. But for the Canucks, I actually don't think they won in this jersey. Maybe once, but every time they wore this jersey, I'm pretty sure they lost. So that's... But funny enough, though, the 50th anniversary one, like the black skate jersey, they've been wearing it since, well, their 50th year. I guess it was 2019, 2020. And they actually went in that in like a fair decent amount. And they beat They wore it just against Calgary, and they ended their 10-game win streak in a very good way. So I don't know. All the players were saying like they feel so good in these jerseys, and like they want it to be like the main jersey. And then Bruce Boudreau was like, yeah, if they're gonna keep playing like that, might as well they can wear anything they want. So I don't know. I think I would like it, but I was gonna ask you guys, what do you guys think about that? Like just like a jersey that a fan base truly fully loves. Does it get stale if it's the main jersey? Like, is there a special jersey you guys can think about?
I see what you're saying. Like it's special, so people really like it because they don't wear it all the time. But if they started wearing it all the time, then it wouldn't be special anymore, right? That's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, would they get tired of it, or would it just not be as loved,
I think so. I think so.
I think it depends on the context of where was it worn and what are the and if it looks good. So my favorite Canucks jersey is the brown, like transition to blue because of 6-time Cup winner Mark Messier captaining that team to keep putting that team on his back. But
right,
essentially though, people love Blasty, people love the old Shark. So I think it just really depends on what the context of, like, even the Tampa Bay Lightning one that's being brought back. That's what they wore when they won their first one in '04. The puck was in.
Jesus.
Or people like the Blasty because Jerome and Mika. But there, it's always nice to have those like classical jerseys. But then what they did with the reverse retros was really cool because some of them were modernized for the current era. Except for you, Detroit. What are you doing in your practice jerseys?
You know what though? Like honestly, from a business standpoint though, why don't they just I don't think the jerseys should matter so much. So why don't they just give the fans what they want if they're just gonna sell the jerseys? Like essentially, like for the flying skate one, before it actually came back in the 50th year, people were yelling for it and calling for it for so long, and even the white one, like the same logo but the white jersey, people were just calling for it for a very long time, and they released it just like for one day, and it was sold out. I just don't know what the idea is or the business model would be to not just give fans what they want, something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that's gonna affect the team in a major way. It's literally just the jersey they're wearing, and I don't know, man. I just feel like in a time where you're trying to make all this money and stuff, I mean, especially recovering from COVID, that's such a simple thing to do, I think. But I don't know. I don't see any fan or sorry, any organization really giving in to the fans like that. Don't know
Fans,
why, but if I was the owner, I would do it. So Vancouver, if you guys want me to take over the Canucks, just let me know.
I
Let me
mean,
know.
we talk about this almost every show. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's one of those things. Creativity in the NHL and fan service is not really a thing. It's very rare, and when it happens, it's few and far between. So,
Yeah.
it would be nice to see a lot of like I'd been wanting for years for Montreal to have like a bunch of different jerseys. Like for years, they just used the basic red or white. You know what I mean? Like even like they had something really nice and classy, uh, Winter Classic jerseys and stuff, and like outdoor game jerseys in between, and like the Stadium Series and whatnot. But they never had anything like this, you know, where it's kind of different. It's all blue. Everyone was scared. Oh, it's gonna look like the Rangers. No, this is a different. This is a different blue. It doesn't look
It's not
like
the
the
same.
rain. It's not, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It looks like a
Hmm.
Canadiens jersey, and so they
Yeah.
nailed it. And I think this was a great success. And if they can continue things like this in the future, that'd be amazing. But in the NHL, it's kind of rare. I think they're slowly starting to realize, okay, there's a lot of money in jersey sales, but
Hmm.
it's just tough gauging the market. You got to find the right balance between catering to a lot of the fans and catering to every fan, right? Because if you're making a jersey that only like 100 people are going to buy, it's not worth the manufacturing costs, right? But if or the time and effort too. But if say 1,000 people are going to buy the jersey, then yeah, make the jersey. So it's
Well,
it's all a balance in the NHL, and until it's going to be an easy money grab for them, they're not going to make that decision.
I was gonna
And
say
then,
quickly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Punch.
oh, I was gonna say just on top of Mike's point. It also depends on the NHL because the NHL um has they know each team has these anniversaries coming up. They have and they'll base um different releases based on that. So like with the Sharks had their 50th the other day, or not the other day, last year, but then they also put out the reverse retro. So I think we might have those because we don't know what the NHL is doing, and we don't know what Adidas is doing because they're a big part of that too.
Yeah.
We could be getting the jerseys that we want, but we also just don't know because we're not NHL affiliates or anything like that.
What I was gonna say is, for the first time ever, so for every sport that I watch, I never, ever, ever, ever buy, even look or consider other jerseys to buy ever, right? For another team that I don't like, because I just like my one team, and that's it for every single sport. But my God, those LA Kings Star Wars jerseys, oh my God, those look so cool. I don't know, have you guys seen them? I think they wore it just for the warm-ups, but they looked so nice, man. I mean, I'm not gonna buy it, but it was the first time I ever like considered like should I just buy it? You know, because it just looks so nice, man. It was so cool what they
Mhm.
did. And honestly, they just basically, if you haven't seen it, guys, or you guys are just listening, and it's basically just a font of like what the Star Wars title would be. So it's that font. It's like has a yellow border around the whole thing, and it just looks really nice. The whole jersey's black. It's really cool what they did. So creativity, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find
Yeah.
there's a lot of teams out there that are trying to change it to like Vegas and LA are two teams that really are out there. Like San Jose, that's a nice jersey as well. But I find it gets lost in all the noise because they just wear them in the warm up. They don't wear them for the game, you know. So if they wore them for the game, that'd make a lot of noise. But they just wear them for the warm up, so it doesn't really make much. Like, you know, like sometimes if you see the teams in the warm ups during Hockey Fights Cancer Month or when they wear the camo jerseys, like it'd be kind of cool to see them full on play a game in those jerseys. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that, but like that'd be kind of cool. Like I've seen some really nice warm up jerseys and practice jerseys that never see the light of day in a game. So I think that'd be pretty cool. It'd be kind of fun. It'd be something different that the NHL could do. But let's move on from jerseys here. I saw Spider-Man from Naruto was saying that another time that the fan base was like really involved in the NHL was when they all voted for John Scott to make the All-Star team.
Mhm.
And then he got traded to Montreal to try to avoid that. It was a whole mess, but he eventually got to go. Everyone loved it. It was a great time. It was great publicity. Everyone was having a good time with John Scott. Even the Stars were happy to have him there. It was just a fun
Mhm.
time. Like that's the last All-Star game that I really watched. So after that, I never really watched one. So I think if you do a lot more stuff like that, where the fans feel involved, you're gonna get much more engagement, and a lot higher ratings. So I know the NHL has been really coveting higher TV ratings, especially because they want to continue having good relationship with ESPN and TNT. So if
Yeah.
honestly, if they try to do things that they're constantly trying to negate, they might see higher ratings. So if they stop
Mm.
trying to get in their own way, they might succeed even more. So anyway, let's move on to today's first topic. Obviously, we do the league updates. So looking around the league, one thing that's super important, obviously, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. There's been a lot of pushback against Russian athletes participating in a lot of sports, and we definitely support that. We don't support the Russian invasion, obviously. We stand by Ukraine and what they're doing there, and it's nice to see a lot of pushback. I didn't expect as many leagues and associations to ban a lot of Russian organizations from joining because of what Putin and his army has done. But even CCM, like I'm not saying Ovi's necessarily to blame. Obviously, Ovi has nothing to do with the invasion, but he's still a known Putin supporter. Like he has Putin, a picture of him and Putin together, smiling together, like locked arms almost, essentially together on his Instagram. That's still his background. So Ovi and CCM, or CCM's officially cut ties, or they're not showing anything related to Ovi on their platform anymore, because they used to have a big partnership with Ovi, right? He was a big spokesperson for their brand, and now because of this, CCM's decided to no longer be in ties, or at least no longer for the moment work with Ovechkin. So that's a big move, because he's one of the best players in the league, and CCM, a big brand, decided, you know what, we're not gonna have Ovi on our brand anymore, and that's a big statement, and honestly, good for them. I believe in that statement. What do you guys think of all this happening, by the way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
a yeah. Go ahead, Bunch.
okay, thank you. I think the act was in good thought, but I don't think punishing Ovi was the problem. Or you don't, because CCM said we're not going to be showing Ovi on our promotional stuff globally, and I thought, well, like, we don't want to. I get that Ovi's a big. Um, it's going to be a little tough to explain, but he's a big like Russian icon. But you should be advertising Ovi the player, not Ovi the Russian icon. So if you want to not stop, but like if you want to stop promoting like Russia throughout your promotional ads and whatever, I'd always just put Ovi in a Capitals jersey. make sure that we're talking about Ovi, the NHL player, not Ovi, the Russian. And I think even then, though, I I don't think that's a great. I think it's nice that they tried to show an act of solidarity, but just because somebody is born in a country that's in a war or currently like in an active war right now, just because they're associated with that country doesn't mean that we want to punish them. It's not we want to separate the player from their country. Essentially, that's what I'm
I get what
trying to
you're
say.
saying. I'm gonna have to disagree though. I know this is a tough topic, but you look at the brand, right? And Ovechkin being from Russia, like it doesn't matter that he's from Russia. That's not why CCM's doing this, and at least as far as I understand. So it's more not that he's from Russia, because Panarin's from Russia, and he's outspoken about being against Putin and all that. Like he's completely outspoken against it. He hates the idea of the war, and all Ovi said was "No war, please." That's all he said. Like he didn't really put out any statement. I understand because he has family in Russia and he wants to keep them safe. I get that. But I also understand why. I completely understand. I agree with CCM for their move here, because Ovi isn't just Russian. Like if he was just Russian, had no affiliation with Putin and wasn't actively supporting Putin, then they wouldn't have done this. But Ovi is a literal supporter of Putin. Like they have a good relationship. He's been known to have a good relationship with Putin. He has pictures of Putin on his social media, and maybe this is all a cover for him. Maybe this is all him just trying to protect his family, and maybe he's just playing the political game just to make sure his family's safe, right? Because Putin's in charge in Russia and he has all the power. So that could be it. I don't know what Obi's thinking, but from a public standpoint, from an image standpoint, CCM made the 100% right decision, because who knows what Obi's thinking behind closed doors, but for what he conveys to the public, and he has a big image towards the public, he conveys an image of supporting Putin, and that would be an image of supporting the war. So by proxy, I think CCM makes the right decision here. I don't think Ovi should be disallowed to play. Like I don't think the NHL should disallow any of the Russian players to play in the NHL, because they've all been living here anyway. They have nothing to do with the war. They didn't start the war. Like Ovi didn't call Putin and be like, "Hey, start the war." You know what I mean? Like he should still be allowed to play in the NHL. But I do understand why a lot of brands might distance themselves from certain Russian players who are known to have a good relationship with Putin. Like Panarin, it's open, it's out in the open. Like everyone knows he doesn't like Putin. He doesn't like what he's doing in Russia, and he wants a democracy in Russia. He wants the people in power. That's why Panarin won't see a punishment like this, whereas Ovi will, because Ovi hasn't been outspoken against Putin. He's actually voiced positive remarks about Putin. I hope I'm getting my point across. I don't want to spend too much time on this subject, much longer than we have, because it is a very heavy subject and it's getting heavily covered in the news. All we really want to say is that our support goes out to Ukraine and everyone living in and around that region. We hope you're safe. We hope you're okay. And we hope that this ends soon for your sake, because no one wants to see this. And honestly, for the Russian people, I hope that Putin will no longer be in power after this. That he's going to lose a lot of support, and hopefully one day soon we can establish a true democracy in Russia, which would be amazing for the people. Anything you want to add, Berta, before we move on?
I think you guys covered it, man. I don't have too much to add, so we can move on.
Awesome. I didn't want to do a lot of political views today. I just want to get a quick statement out there, because I know politics isn't really something you talk about on Twitch, and we're not really talking politics. We're more talking about just, I guess, just the state of the world in this sense. But anyway, let's move on to the league updates. It's super important that we cover this. It's hard to transition, so I'm going to talk a little bit and add a little bit of blur in the middle here. But moving on to league updates. I guess more positive league updates. The hottest team in the NHL. I'm pulling my jersey logo up towards my face here. The Montreal Canadiens are officially the hottest team in the NHL for the first time this season, and their very first 2-game win streak turned into, I believe, a 5-game win streak. Either 4 or 5. I'm pretty sure it's 5 now, actually, after the Ottawa game on Saturday, where they won by a whopping 2-1. Very boring game, if I have to say so myself. Two pretty bad teams in
Mm.
terms of the standings, playing each other in a very low scoring affair. Andrew Hammond gets his win in his return to Ottawa, so that's nice for him. He had a very good save percentage, played very well, so you can't really complain there. And I'm happy to see him finding some success. They just had a baby girl as well, or they're announced that his wife is pregnant actually. So I might have been slightly wrong about that, but they're expecting a baby girl, so that's kind of cool too. So he's back in the NHL. He's winning games. He's playing minutes. He has a daughter on the way. Just a nice story in Montreal. Hopefully the winning can continue. Petrie's voice that he wants to stay now. He said that St. Louis is a coach he would like to play for a long time. So, you know what? Things are starting to look up here. I don't want to get too caught up on my high horse, but the Habs are looking decent. I saw on the hockey guy on his power rankings, they're around 26. So they've moved up a lot. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see. Guys, what do you think about the Habs win streak? Is it they're going to lose the rest of the season and they're not going to win anymore and this is just a random flash in the pan? Or do you think that they were a better team than what their record showed and they just needed a really good coach to help them get motivated?
So I
Should
was
we
just
let's establish an order here.
all right. Go ahead. You go first.
Do you wanna
I'll go ahead.
and then
after.
you? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. But sorry, Arjun. Essentially though, like yeah, you're happy with the production you're getting. But you know, it's I would still pain for Shane here. I'm very on the pain train right now because like even San Jose right now with all their injuries, I'm just like just take an L. Take those L's. I want even if we don't get into the top 10 or I hope that we might get into the top 10 because like it's such a deep draft, but I think it's good for morale when you ring off like a good five game win streak.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see Suzuki and Caulfield taking strides again. They were really stuck under Ducharme. Ducharme had Suzuki playing a shutdown role that Dano would have been playing, so Suzuki really wasn't seeing a lot of offense in terms of 5-on-5. But now he's playing an offensive role, which is nice to see, and Jake Evans is playing a more defensive role. So like you would see Jake Evans getting the offensive zone starts on the faceoffs, and you're like, yo, where's the Suzuki line? Like, and then Suzuki would get all the defensive zone draws. So it's nice to see St. Louis having a different train of thought and you know playing the players correctly. So Ducharme was trying to make everyone a defensive player, and St. Louis letting the players play to their strengths, and it seems to be working. So Berta, I think it's something what Bruce Boudreau's been doing as well in Vancouver. So you can probably touch upon that as well. What do you think of St. Louis, and what do you think of Boudreau, I guess, as well? Because I know Patterson's been playing lights out lately. So
Yeah. Pedersen has been on a tear, but I think just in general, not even just about the Canucks and about the Habs. There's been a pattern now that something I've noticed, and I think it actually is just a thing now, and I think they're calling it the coach's bump. So every time someone's getting fired or any team, they bring somebody in, the team goes on a little bit of a run here, and I think it's a mix of a couple things. It's a mix of maybe relief or maybe a wake up call, one or the other, and also just the players maybe getting a little bit more freedom because a new system's coming in place and they're not so restricted to what they were doing before. And maybe they can play their own game now. Like you were saying, Suzuki was in more of a shutdown role. Now he's just a little bit more unleashed. You just get a different view on things, and it is a huge change. And that little coach's bump does. Usually, you typically see a team when they get a coaching change, they'll go maybe a 3-4 game win streak. Whether it's Chicago early in the year, the Canucks, Edmonton, even Sutter when he came to Calgary. Uh, or sorry, someone who got fired last year. Someone got fired last year from Calgary as like their head coach. No,
oh yeah, it was Bill Peters, but that was
was it Bill Peters?
that was
So Peter, yeah.
Was it in season? Because I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
went on a little streak after that as well. Yeah, they went on a little streak, and then now Montreal is going on a little streak as well. And so I've come to expect these things from these coaches changes, but I guess the real telling sign is after I would say that 5-game mark and see where they're playing, seeing where they're really at. I can say for the Canucks that there actually has been a change because we actually have allowed the fewest 5-on-5 goals in all of the league since Boudreaux's come in, which is insane because our defense is not really the greatest. But you can definitely see that there are some changes and noticeable changes. I would like to see what Montreal does after this because now they're on a 5-game win streak, like they're rolling, and even I've seen it. Like I have Suzuki in my fantasy team. I've kept him all year because I'm like, there's no way he's like this bad, right? Like and I'm not gonna sell him on a low, so I've kept him all year, and he's now doing really good, and it looks like he has more freedom. So I'm just curious to see what they do in these next few weeks here. Like, what do you think though, Mike? Do you want them to keep winning? Because I know you guys want your absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't care about the first overall pick, and here's why. I know Shane Wright had a year off from hockey, so his development wasn't as quick as expected. But there's a lot of scouts out there saying that he's not necessarily a consensus number one anymore. And I know, like I said, he had a year off from hockey, so that might have stunted his development a little bit. But this doesn't seem like the draft where the number one is absolutely consensus. And we don't necessarily need a Shane Wright. Like, we could use any kind of dynamic player that would come out of the top 5 of this draft. And Montreal was so far behind the standings that even if they won every game, literally every game from here on out to the rest of the season, I did the math, they'd finish with 92 points. That's still essentially out of the playoffs in almost every division you could be in, because usually you need around 96 to 97. And I know Eric Snags, you're saying that, going on hot streak's bad for us because we want the first overall pick. This isn't necessarily a draft where you need the first overall pick. You kind of, next year, if Montreal's still tanking and they're still as bad as this, next year is the year where you really want the first overall pick because Connor Bedard is the real deal. And also, Matvei Michkov, as much as he is the real deal as well, and he would be the consensus number 2, maybe even number 1 if he wasn't on a he wasn't locked up in the KHL, right? He's up to a long-term deal. Maybe this Ukraine Russia situation changes that, because I know a lot of teams are leaving the KHL, so maybe his team dissolves and that contract becomes void. Then he'd be a lot more valuable in next year's draft because he can come over right away. But as it stands right now, I think you'd have to wait till like 2024 or 2025, maybe even later than that, to come over. So next year would be the year I'd really want that consensus number 1. This year's not as big of a deal to me. I want to see strides from Caulfield. I want to see strides from Suzuki. I want to see strides from Paling. I don't necessarily, and Romanov as well, I don't necessarily care about the first overall pick as much as I care about seeing this team start to gel and see these prospects develop. Trade away some of the older guys. I know Lekkonen's probably going to be gone. A few other guys are going to be gone as well from the forward core. I want to see how Dvorak looks. I want to see how Drouin looks under the new coach. I want to see if this team can make something happen next year. I want to see if there's even a chance. I know they've talked about being players in free agency. They're probably going to look to add on the defensive blue line. Joel Edmondson will be back soon, so think about it. You'll have Joel Edmondson, Jeff Petrie again, if you don't trade Petrie. You'll have Romanov, who's proven to be a top 4 this year with whoever you sign. Then you'll have David Savard on the third line, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. And probably Chris Weidman, I guess. I'm not a huge fan of Chris Weidman. Maybe you would see Matthias Norlinder step up. Who knows? So Montreal could be better next year. Maybe Carey Price comes back from injury. They couldn't be that. They might not be that bad next year. And then throw in whoever they draft in the top 5, and maybe they're an impact player. They play with Suzuki and Caulfield, or you leave Suzuki with Caulfield and Anderson, then have Drouin with Dvorak in that second overall pick or third overall pick or wherever that pick is, or that pick on defense. Like, Montreal could make something happen next year. Don't underestimate them. They made one big free agent signing. Carey Price comes back, healthy team next year. They had an unprecedented number of injuries / COVID this year. Mark my words, they could be better than you think next year. So I'm okay with them winning and building chemistry. I know that's a long tangent, but yeah, I'm okay with it. Do you guys want to move on to the smash or pass segment of today's podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, the smash or pass segment is basically, if you've seen, I think it was on the CJ show on the Steve Dangle Podcast Network, Essentially, they do pretender versus contender. They look at all the teams in the playoff spot and they say, okay, are they a true contender? Are they a, or are they a pretender? So we're gonna say smash or pass for teams as being contenders for the Stanley Cup. We have cap friendly pulled up. We have the standings pulled up. So looking at the standings, obviously we're gonna start with one of the top teams. We'll look at the top three in the Metro first. All right. So Carolina is number one in the Metro. Ponchi, we'll start with you. What do you think of Carolina? Smash or pass? And chat, let us know what you think as well. Smash or pass on each of these teams.
Like smash. I think they are the real deal. I think they'll go deep because the Islanders are out of there, and I think let me double check their cap friendly, but I could see them going at. They've got quite a decent amount of space on them, so they could just try to find somebody at the deadline, and then just keep them. Cause they've got one person on LTIR. They have Jake Gardner on LTIR. So you could keep him on for a little bit and then just try and figure out like try and figure out like a playoff rental.
Fair enough. Berta, who do you smash or pass on the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, so I'm on smash for the Hurricanes because if you just look at so every team here, like on these contenders that we're going to talk about, they all have some really, really good offense. Some of them are one of the teams is obviously much, much better than the others in offense, but the thing that really catches my eye here is their goals against for the Hurricanes. They're at 122, which is significantly lower than every other team. And part of it is Frederick Anderson has been playing great.
Amazing.
But
Yeah.
and he's in a Vezina conversation here, but it's just the systems that Carolina plays. Like they're so good defensively and they have great offense. So they're actually one of my favorites this year for sure, and I actually like them more than some other teams just because of how good they are defensively, and they're built for the playoffs. I don't think they even need to add too much here. They just maybe just get a depth piece here and there, but honestly, they don't think they need to change too much. As long as they just keep playing their systems, keep playing the way they've been playing, I don't know a team that would for sure beat Carolina.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm totally smashing Carolina here. No, not holding back. Essentially, I think they have one of the best blue lines in the NHL. Jacob Slavin is one of the most underrated defensemen. So is Brett Pesce. They're so good together. Or if you split them up, they make whoever they play with better as well. So I like those two guys, lefty, righty, working together. Then you got Brady Shea, who's pretty decent defenseman. I think he's a little overrated in terms of his contract, but he provides a solid defensive aspect to the game as well. Ian Cole's a great guy as well to have on the team, veteran presence. He's 33, 1 year left, so that's essentially your rental right there. He's only got 1 year left. He's a good defenseman. He can play both sides of the blue line. He's a very good defensive defenseman. Whoever you match him up with, he will be able to make them look better because he's always back there. Tony DeAngelo, Ethan Bear, Brennan Smith, to name a few other defensemen on that team. That is a very good defensive core. A lot of those guys would be in the top four on any other team, and quite frankly, they're struggling to get minutes for all these guys, despite losing Dougie Hamilton.
Crazy.
On forward core, I mean, Jesperi Kotkaniemi looks rejuvenated there, finally. He's starting to play really well. Martin Necas has had a slower year this year, but I think he was dealing with some ailments and such, so they have a very good offensive core as well. Very young, dynamic. They're so fun to watch. I mean, Jordan Martinook always plays well for them as well. Is he still there? Yeah, he's still there. Jordan Martinook wearing the A, cheap contract. He plays well for them all the time. Yeah, I don't know where they found this guy, but he loves playing there, it seems, and very energetic too. So they've got a good deep team on offense, good deep defensive core, good goaltending. Freddie Anderson usually chokes the playoffs with the Leafs, but maybe in a different jersey he'll be able to hold the fort a bit better. He has a much more solid defense core in front of him. So I think consensus smash the Carolina Hurricanes easily. So I'm seeing comments from Spider-Man from Naruto and Kev players saying they're aggressive, they're fast, they're godly on defense. Like it's impressive.
They are a very fast team. Like honestly, they're probably one of the fastest teams in the East at least. Like and that we that's actually funny that we talked all about this defense we didn't even really talk properly about their offense and how fast they are. There's the way they play
Yeah.
offensively. They can keep up with every single team here, I think.
So let's move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'll start us off on this one, and Bert, I'll let you start off on the next one. So for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm gonna pass. I know they're highly ranked in the standings. I just don't see them getting by some deeper teams. I like Jeff Carter. I really like Jeff Carter. Don't get me wrong. I love Jeff Carter, but you need more than that. Like I know you have Zach Aston. So you have a few good players there, but for the most part, it's usually Crosby and Gensel. Malkin steps up when he needs to. Evan Rodriguez is playing godly, but you can't expect him to continue that into the playoffs. It's just unfeasible. I think a lot of the guys on that team have been playing outside of their depth. I think Tristan Jarry has been playing better than anybody expected him to, and he has a chip on his shoulder, yes, but I don't see him keeping that consistency all the way into the playoffs. So I'm gonna pass on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I love me some Crosby, I love me some Letang, but I just don't see it in the cards this year for them. I wish them the best, and I'll be happily surprised and joyful if they win. I don't mind. I don't mind seeing them win, but I'm gonna pass on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So this one's a little tricky because there are a lot of good teams here, but are we just defining it as a team that you think can win the cup? Is that how we're just defining a smash?
Yeah, we'll go big or go home. We're saving
Okay.
ourselves for the ones that truly matter.
I personally am going. Okay, I think I'm going to pass them the Penguins, and I think I think that they are a very good team, and you can never really count Crosby and Malkin out like ever. But the thing is I don't trust Jari as much as I like. Jari's been playing really good, but this last month, like or so, he's definitely taken a step back, and it's going to be tough going against other goalies in this division here alone. And then also, if they happen to play Atlantic teams, it's going to be tough. I would probably take every other goalie besides Campbell over Jari. That's the main reason why I pass.
Fair enough. Panchi, passer, smash.
Pass. I don't see the Penguins going for a deep run. That's it. I just don't see them going
Short and sweet. I
for a
like
deep
it.
run.
I like it. Short and sweet. So we all three of us passed on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look at their depth chart just quickly, so you guys are all aware as well. Oh man, my stomach is giving me a tough time today. All right, anyway, Zach Aston Reese, Danton Heinen, Evan Rodriguez, Brian Boyle, Dominic Simone, Casper Bjorkfist, Brock McGinn, Kasperi Kapanen, Brian Rust, Zach Aston Reese. Those are all the players outside of Jeff Carter, Jake Gensel, Sidney Crosby, and Evgeny Malkin. That is a very top-heavy team, in my humble opinion. I know Evan Rodriguez has played amazing this year, and I know there's going to be teams that are going to overpay for him in the offseason. I don't see it lasting into the playoffs. They're playing a great regular season hockey right now, but I look at their blue line as well. Chris Letang, Mike Matheson, John Marino, Brian Dumoulin, Marcus Pettersson, Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Like, that's a decent blue line. Chad Riedel in there as well, but I just don't see it being dynamic enough. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Brian Dumoulin and Michael Matheson as it is. I don't see them they're good playoff guys because they're big and strong, but I think they're going to get beat with speed. I think a team's going to beat them out in a 7-game series, so I don't see Pittsburgh. I don't see Pittsburgh being the champion this year, guys. Let's move on. The New York Rangers. Berta, you start us off. Punchy, you're next, and I'll go last. Smash or pass the New York Rangers?
Okay, this is a slam dunk pass because they are so heavily carried by their goaltending. Like, they were so heavily carried by their goaltending and their power play. And that's not necessarily horrible because you can get carried by your goaltending in playoffs, but their 5-on-5 play is actually really bad. Not like just eye test wise and even just analytically wise, they are one of the worst. They're not in the same realm as these other teams here. Like, I would even pick the Penguins over them. Despite the goaltending change or goaltending difference there. 5-on-5 game is huge when it comes to the playoffs because you can't rely on penalties anymore in the playoffs just because it's called so differently. And we've talked about it before, but McDavid would kind of cry and then Draisaitl would kind of cry about not getting calls. Like, we talked about how the Oilers are kind of a power play team, and I feel like the Rangers are very much like this, and it's going to be tough for them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Spider-Man from Naruto says Adam Fox, Adam Fox, Adam Fox. Doesn't quite ring off as well as Bonino, but no, I understand. I like Adam Fox. He's doing work on my fantasy team, so I agree that he's a good player. Shesterkin's kind of Shesterkin's kind of what's was keeping them afloat. Like in all honesty, I even see I see the Capitals making it farther than the Rangers do, and I think it's just because the Capitals just play so well. I don't want to turn this into Capitals chat just yet, but aside from like Mika Zibanejad's been fairly good, Ketel's been very good, Panarin's been fairly good, but fairly good doesn't win you Stanley Cup. Lafreniere is still not quite there yet. Capo's not. Where is Capo? Their D is like it's Adam Fox, and that's really who I know from them. But essentially, like you need excellent and more. You just can't be fairly good.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I also look at the Rangers team, and I see them as a team getting past the first round. I do think they're capable of getting past the first round just because of Shesterkin. Lundqvist helped them get past a few rounds in the past, and I think they're definitely a team that can win a round. I know Lafreniere's been playing better ever since they put him on the first line. Funny how that works. You play a good player with good players, and they play better. It's almost like Ducharme with Caulfield. But anyway, I digress. I think Shesterkin is literally carrying their team right now. I do think the Rangers are a solid team, but I definitely pass on them. They're not what I would consider a true cup contender. They have the goaltending necessary. I think you need more than Adam Fox on your blue line. I like Ryan Lindgren. I like Keandre Miller. They have a very young, inexperienced blue line, but I think if they could add on their defense at the deadline, I think they have a chance if they add their D-core. But they need to add someone big, and they need to add someone now. So for me, I'm on pass at the moment for the New York Rangers. Let's move on to the Atlantic Division, staying in the Eastern Conference. Number one in the Atlantic Division, no, it's not Tampa. No, it's not Toronto. No, it's not Boston. The Florida Panthers are number one in the Atlantic Division. Berta, you started us off last time, so Ponchi, take it away. Smash or pass the Florida Panthers?
I think the Panthers have a chance. In my not so humble opinion, I do see them having a chance at the cup. I just don't see them winning because just Tampa's just kind of stronger despite what the playoffs or what the standings say. But they've got a good team. I think like Ricard Raquel would be a good spot for them if they can open up some cap. Even John Klingberg would be. I wouldn't mind that. They could even talk to San Jose and get Tomas Hertl over, reunite him with Joe Thornton. But do I don't know if I quite see them winning the cup. I see them contending, but I don't know if I see them winning the cup.
I get your point. I'm gonna wholeheartedly disagree. I am all in on the Florida Panthers. They took Tampa Bay to a 7-game series in the first round. No, 6-game? Anyway, they were the closest team to be. Oh my god, my stomach. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But anyway,
I heard that one.
Dude, it's killing me all day. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, they were the team that competed the most with the Tampa Bay Lightning, who won the cup. The first round matchup between the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning last year was essentially the Stanley Cup Finals, because those are the two best teams in the league by far. You could tell by the series. You could just tell right away. The pace of the game was unreal. So I'm saying I can't say that on stream, but I am all in on the Florida Panthers. I'm going all the way in on the Florida Panthers. I think they can win the cup this year. They added on to the team they had last year. Sam Bennett looks like a freaking beast once again. Sam Reinhart, another Sam. I like Sam Reinhart playing well in Florida on the third line. They've got one of the best offenses in the league. They've got very good defense, especially Mackenzie Weegar and Aaron Ekblad together. That's an amazing defensive pairing. I mean, Spencer Knight, Bobrovsky looks good as well. You have two goalies who could carry a series because both of them played pretty well last year against Tampa Bay. I'm all in on the Florida Panthers, baby. Win that series, Florida. Win that cup. It'd be an amazing sight to see. Although Florida's had a lot of cups, because of Tampa Bay being in Florida as well. They've had a lot of cups recently. I could go with a cup elsewhere than Florida in the state of Florida. But if someone in the state of Florida had to win this year, I'm going to go with Florida. That sounded so confusing, but you know what I meant.
Okay, Mike, I gotta tell you why you're wrong, man. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Listen. Ponch is right.
I'm right.
So the Panthers, yes, in theory, obviously, they have a chance to win the cup. Okay, they score the most goals. They definitely have the best offense in the league by far. Okay, but the amount of goals they give up is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think their defense is good. They're good offensively, but the defense mixed with Bobrovsky or whatever goalie, we've seen the goalies choke in the playoffs for the Florida Panthers, and the defense, like if they can add somebody solid, that would be huge. That's what they need more than an offensive defenseman or even another scorer on the wing or whatever it is, because their goal differential is horrible. It's it's not horrible, but their goal against is horrible. So that's like the thing. So they can obviously outscore their problems, but my main concern is, can they do that in the playoffs, right? Like if you look at all these other teams, the Panthers have a 161 goals against. And if you look at any other team in their division, the closest thing is the Ottawa Senators. So they're out of the playoffs. And they're way out of the playoffs. So they're in the category of like Ottawa. And then in the Metropolitan Division, they're in the category of Columbus and the Devils and even the Flyers have less. And we know how bad the Flyers have been. So that's a little concerning for me, in my opinion. But they can obviously score like any period, any game they want. It's just gonna come down to that. It's gonna come down to their defense and goaltending. And I think it's not gonna be great. I think it's gonna let them down. But that being said, I do think they're probably Tampa's best matchup. But if they play the Hurricanes, I think the Hurricanes would win. I think the Hurricanes have great offense. They have great speed. They play as fast as Florida plays. As fast as Florida plays, and I would take Carolina's defense and their goaltending over what the Panthers have.
Fair enough. I honestly think you guys are both underrating Florida's ability to win a series and shut her down. Sam Bennett is a great two-way center. He can play both.
I know their forwards are good. Okay.
So, I know, Duclair, Huberdeau, Barkov, Owen Tippett's in there. He's playing pretty well this year. Reinhart, Bennett.
Their offense is insane. Like honestly, like even Barkov. Like I think like Barkov,
Verhaeghe on there too.
Yeah, Verhaeghe is the most random player to do this good in my opinion. Like he wasn't on my radar. I'll say that. Like not random, but I just wasn't thinking about him to be this good, and he's playing insane. And then Lindell as well. He's been playing good as well. So lots of good players on Florida.
Yeah, I think if they add one more guy on defenseman, Ben Sherratt. Florida, I'm manifesting it now. Acquire Ben Sherratt for a first and a good prospect, please. Please, for the love of God, somebody overpay for Ben Sherratt. But I think Florida, I'm all in on Florida because I know they're going to make a move at the deadline, and I love their team right now. I love the way they're playing. They're 23-6 at home. So
that's crazy.
If they get home ice advantage, which they most likely will at the rate they're going, although Tampa might pass them soon, but they'll have home ice advantage over anybody else. Essentially, I think because of that record, I think that's another good reason to have them win. Next up, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'll go first, and then we'll go Ponchy, and then we'll go Berta. No, Ponch, it's your turn. Ponch, you go first.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Lightning, smash or pass?
I definitely have the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the cup. If some of the other team, we'll talk about them later on, but I do think Tampa is built to win. I think they're gonna be in the finals. I think What's there to say? Are you kidding me? Like they're playing so well.
Are you kidding me?
Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Number one bullshit. No, I like they've done it. They've done it 2 years in a row. I I hope that some underdog takes them down, but it's like the Montreal Canadiens in a parallel universe. But it would have been. I like that team. That's a good pick. I see Tampa winning. They're doing it all. They're playing very well on the front end, very well on the back end. Vasilevsky's just like he's like Mr. Fantastic, you know. He's just got like he's like an octopus in net. He's
He's
just
very good.
grabbing. He's very very good. You know, number 4 in fantasy points. I should have picked him up, but they're so they're built so well. And shout out to Steve Eiserman for just building that team.
Yeah,
Right.
they have a very good team. I know they lost Johnny Gord in the off season. They lost one other guy as well, Barclay Goodrow. So those are two
Ducks legend.
solid, two solid pieces to their depth on offense. But they acquired Corey Perry in the offseason. Taylor Radish, Boris Kachuk have both stepped up. So has Matthew Joseph. So they've had internal prospects step into the spots that they lost. So they're still doing fine. They even gained assets in that, if anything, because they got something back for Barclay Goodrow. They got something back for they didn't get anything back for Yanni Gourde because they lost him in the expansion draft. But nonetheless, they add Corey Perry to the fourth line. So Belmar, Perry, and Pat Maroon on the fourth line all together. That is a line you never want to play against. Corey Perry is capable of dominating like any line he's up against. If he's on the fourth line,
Love Corey.
I don't care who you have on your fourth line, unless you're like Florida, which is why Florida is a good matchup for Tampa. That line will absolutely dominate you. I watched a couple Tampa games this year, and they look like the best line on Tampa. Like, if you didn't know who anybody's names were and you just watched a Tampa Bay game, you might think Corey Perry is one of the stars. You might think Patrick Maroon and Pierre-Edouard Belmar are one of the stars because they play so well together, and they just absolutely outplay the other team's fourth and third lines because they're really good players. They're veterans in the league. They understand where to go. They understand what to do. They understand how to win matchups, and they just out-muscle you. They outwork you, and they make it easier for Stamkos, Kucherov, and all those other skilled guys to just have open ice because those guys open up the ice for them. And I love it. Their blue line's insane. McDonough, Hedman, and Sergachev. That's really all I need to say, but let me throw in Chernak as well, and boom, right there. It's a top four that no one wants to face. I'm all in on the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. Definite smash. I didn't even mention Vasilevsky, and you already think they're a contender. So throw Vasilevsky in there, one of the best goalies in the world, and it's like, wow, okay, I can see them winning 3 in a row. Here we go. Do what Pittsburgh couldn't do. Win 3 in a row for us. Go ahead, Tampa Bay. I don't even care. You can't. You already beat Montreal at this point. I'd hop on the bandwagon. Tampa Bay, if you win the cup, I won't even be upset.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say you guys said everything that's basically there is about Tampa Bay. It's definite smash. I can definitely see them winning the cup again. It's going to be hard for somebody to knock them off. They can play any kind of style of game you want, and I always reference this. Last year when they played the Islanders, they won one game like 8-0, and they won the next game 1-0, something like that. It was like very similar to that, and it just goes to show the different play styles they can play. They can play high offense, high octane offense, or they can just lock it down defensively. Either way, they're going to be fine, and they're definitely a smash in this year's playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that covers Tampa Bay and Florida, so the two Florida State teams. I smashed both of them. You guys chose one of them. I'm going to move us on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll start us off. They are currently the third place team in the Atlantic. They're behind Tampa Bay and Florida. They have a lower point percentage than them. So, even if the season ended now, they wouldn't pass them, even if they all play the same amount of games. Based on points percentage, they wouldn't be ahead of those two teams. Toronto has a very good record, very good goal differential, a higher goal differential than Tampa Bay. But I marked that up to Toronto winning a lot more. When they win, Toronto tends to win by a large margin, whereas Tampa Bay tends to keep a lot of games close, and they're able to win those close games a lot more than Toronto is. I look at the game against Detroit the other day, 10-7. You're not a contender.
Yeah, but
man. I'm sorry, you guys are not a contender.
Hughes
You're-
knew I needed. He knew I needed the fantasy points, but I still lost that week.
Bro, like, I don't even know how that's possible, but
yeah.
Marner had 4 goals. Unless the guy had Marner against you, then you're screwed. But Toronto, I'm passing on you guys. I don't like your blue line. To be honest, I still don't like your blue line. Justin Hall doesn't do it for me. Jake Muzzin, I like Jake Muzzin for the playoffs. I like TJ Brody. I love TJ Brody. I like Morgan Riley. I don't mind him, but he's good. Like, I think he's great, but I don't know. I think you're just missing something there. Your offense is obviously really good firepower, but I think your depth can be lacking at times. They can kind of go invisible. Your goaltending is unproven. So, and that 10-7 game kind of proved it. It proved that you're unproven goaltending. So I'm passing on Toronto. I have no faith. They blew a 3-1 series lead at Montreal last season. Look where Montreal is now, and yeah. So I'm saying Toronto, pass on you guys. I don't trust you to win a 7-game series.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I have to agree. That's a pass. It's kind of weird. Johnny T makes like 10 mil and didn't have a point in a 10-7 game. Kind of weird. I don't know. We're in this like I love you Leafs fans. I think you need both Marleau and Thornton back. Bring back the Toronto boys. But I think the problem is like we're in this circle every single year. Oh, we think they'll go deep. I'd like to see them try for Klingberg maybe. Try for something to change it up, but I think they're just in a tough spot, especially with Florida and Tampa being in the same division, and even Boston. Boston would be a scary matchup too.
Right. I was just gonna quickly mention basically what you guys are saying as well. Everything you guys have said is just so true. It's funny because I was so against Campbell last year, and I said even this year I was against it. I was like, just wait, he's gonna get exposed. He's gonna get exposed. And then somewhere near like the midway point, the Christmas point of this year of this season, I was like, guys, I was wrong. And now what's happening? Why did I not just back myself, man? I knew it in my head. I knew it was gonna happen, but. Yeah, it is a questionable goaltending situation. I don't trust Mrazek back there either. I'm going to pass on Toronto, but if I was ever going to smash and say they were going to do something, it would have been last year's roster. Last year's roster was so stacked, and I just can't believe they didn't even win anything from that. So,
Carey
yeah,
Price?
I'm going to pass on Toronto. Yeah, Carey Price. Yeah,
It's literally Carey Price. It's a Carey.
Yeah.
They had 13 shots in overtime and lost that overtime. Carey Price.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
There
That's
you
all
go.
you need.
Price.
Carey Price.
Carey Price.
And that shows the importance of goaltending once again. Carey
Mhm.
Price carried the Montreal Canadiens through round 1. Obviously couldn't do it against Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay was just too good and also had a Carey Price-like goalie. So Montreal could not do anything and help him out. They scored like, what, 1 goal a game against Tampa Bay? So you're not going to win a cup with 1 goal a game in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's for sure. So for me, Toronto, I'm going to have to pass. You don't have the elite goaltending I want you to have. I think, as much as I like Jack Campbell as a person, he seems like he's a great guy, and he's definitely capable of being a 1A goalie in the NHL. Unless Toronto is able to get a guy who they can actually rely on that's not Mrazek and rest Jack Campbell heading into the playoffs, I think you're fine. I would definitely smash. I think you could win the round. I mean, it's tough that you're up against Florida or Tampa Bay in the first round. We're looking like it in the standings right now. So ideally, Toronto could drop into wild card 1 and maybe go to the other division. That's would be an ideal world there. It'd be a safer matchup than Florida or Tampa because those teams aren't even human. They're just gods at this point. So I'm gonna pass on Toronto, especially if you factor in the division they're in. It's an easy pass. So guys, we are an hour in, so we do have the option to call it here. I have to head upstairs for dinner anyway, shortly. But just to end off the stream on a fun note, Ponchi, and don't worry guys, we'll cover the Western Conference on Thursday. But just just to end off the stream on a fun note, I'm thinking, Paunchy, I know you have the coach's challenge, but would you guys be down to make some predictions for tonight's games?
I'm down for that.
Predictions or challenge?
Predictions.
Predictions?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Senators versus Lightning.
You know what, Mike? Why don't you run through your teams, and I'll run through mine, and Poncho run through his.
All right. Sure. I'm
Let's do that.
down with that. So, quickly here, Senators versus Lightning. I'm going to go with Sens. Psycho. They're mad that they lost to Montreal. Devils versus Blue Jackets. Columbus, easy win right there. Jets versus Habs. I'm going to go with Habs. Keep the hot streak going. I hate the Jets, so let's keep going. Oilers versus Flyers. I'm going to go with Oilers. Flyers are just absolute garbage right now. Hurricanes versus Red Wings. Hurricanes, easy. Flames versus Wild. I'm going to go with the Wild here. Sorry, Paunchy, but I like the way they're looking right now. Is that it? No, Bruins versus Ducks. Bruins. That's an easy pick. So I have the Sens, Blue Jackets, Habs, Oilers, Hurricanes, Wild, and Bruins. Not too bad.
Okay.
Punch,
I'll
go ahead.
go.
Yeah.
Golden Knights, Sharks. I've got your San Jose Sharks. Ducks, Bruins. I've got the Bruins. Avs, Islanders. I'll take the Islanders because of pity. Wild, Flames. Jets, Canadiens. I've got the Canadiens. It's going to be a revenge game for Jake Evans.
I like it.
Hurricane, Red Wings. I've got the Canes. Blue Jackets, Devils. I'm going to go with the Devils. Flyers, Oilers. I've got the Flyers because I'd rather pick the Flyers over the Oilers. Lightning, Senators. Let's go Senators. Shout out to should have been Sharks legend Jim Stutzel.
It's Stutzla, okay? It's Stutzla. Or is it Stutzla?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Jimmy Stew.
Jimmy Stew. Whatever. Anyway.
Jimmy Stew.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys the right answers here because you guys had some wrong ones. But anyway, Tampa and Senators, I don't know why neither of you guys picked Tampa, but we're picking Tampa. We just talked about them being contenders, so we're going to pick Tampa. Okay. Devils, Blue Jackets. Devils are playing off a back-to-back here, so I'm going to pick the Blue Jackets. Whereas Lincoln's is a Nets, and I think he's going to steal the game. You got Canadiens and Jets. I think the Canadiens keep it rolling, and they beat the Jets here. They go for win number 6 on the streak. Avs versus Islanders. I think that the Avs are going to win because Barzal is actually out now. He's not going to play for a little bit. He got injured. I don't know what the injury is, but he's out. So I'm going Avalanche, Golden Knight, and Sharks. I actually think the Sharks are going to win this one. The Knights they're playing okay, but they've been struggling a little bit since they've lost Mark Stone. And Pacioretty's also out, so Oilers, Flyers. I want to say the Flyers are going to win, but I really just think it's the Oilers. The Flyers are just so down bad this year. I don't see how the Oilers lose to them. Hurricanes, Red Wings. I believe the Hurricanes will win. I don't think Red Wings have a match or even a chance against them. Flames and Wild. Flames also are on... They bounced back against their big loss against the Canucks, but I do like the Wild more than the Flames, so I'm going to pick the Wild, but it's going to be close. And then Ducks and Bruins. I'm going to pick the Ducks because the Bruins are coming off a back-to-back where they've won like 7-1 or something like that. So they obviously use a lot of their energy, and then now they're playing the Ducks. And the Ducks are a good team, so I'm going to pick the Ducks.
I like it. So quickly before we end off the stream, Spider from Naruto asks, one player you would trade for your team. So I'm going to open this up to be one guy you can trade away or one guy you can trade for. I'm going to say... trade away Ben Sherratt. Please, God, trade him now. Please. While his value is still high. Don't be like, no, we're going to keep him in case he wants to resign. Just trade him, guys. Just trade him when you can. That or I'm not sure about Jeff Petrie anymore. I'm not sure. David Savard. If anybody would take him without us retaining salary, David Savard. So fast. So fast. But other than that, nothing too crazy for Montreal. One guy I would trade for, that's tough. I mean, I think I'd go for Jake DeBrusk. He's had a tough time in Boston recently, and I think he wants out. I think they've kind of soured on each other, and he doesn't get a lot of ice time for a guy who's pretty skilled. So I think he'd do well on a team that could give him more ice time. So if there's a deal with Boston where they can get one of our expiring UFAs, we can get back a first and Jake DeBrusk and some B prospect, I'd be down. Because yeah, it could be an interesting experiment.
Nice. For me, it's gotta be. It's tough because there's a lot of players that could be traded, but I kind of want Tanner Pearson to be gone. I think if they can just get rid of him, or you know what, I'm gonna change it. That's such a boring answer. Let's just go JT Miller. We'll go JT Miller. Get some major return, get a big haul on JT Miller, and I'll be happy.
Fair enough. Ponchi, anybody you want to trade away from Calgary or San Jose? Or trade for?
I want to trade away the pickle, Mark Edward Vlasic. He eats up $7 million
For a long time.
Even if so even if we retained, like I wouldn't mind trading him for like fifths, sixths, sevenths even. Yeah, and then somebody I'd trade for. I'd want somebody for our third line, maybe third line center like Jack Roslovic. I think he would be a solid pickup. Ricardo Kell too. He makes $3 million for like the rest of the year, so picking him up, putting him on our second or third line, that'd be a lot better than like not. Well, it wouldn't be better than Ryan Dzingel because he has a goal. So, but
Already a goal.
just something
he's playing on fire. He's gonna flip for a second round pick at the deadline. Mark my words.
But yeah, I just want something to look forward to.
That's fair. We all want something to look forward to, but especially when your team's struggling, it's always nice to get something like that. So, to end off the stream, before I do, thank you everyone for stopping by. Obviously, Dad9 Sports, Kev Player, Spider-Man from Naruto, Air Snags was here. Thank you guys for hanging out as well. Berta and Ponchi, you can check them out at BertaMan and at Ponch_YYC on Twitch. They do their thing on stream. Like they do their thing on their channels, man. Like, what do you guys got going on right now?
I'm actually just playing the Batman game because I am so excited for the movie, so I'm just playing Arkham Knight right now.
Fair enough. Ponchi, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I just started Dishonor, and I'm gonna start Dishonored 2, and then I'll probably try and get the last season of The Walking Dead done because I did the first 3 back in December, and I want to finish it off.
Fair enough. And I got Pokemon going on my channel. I'll be back tomorrow night, Wednesday, around 7 Eastern. So usually around 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Between then is when I start. The Pokemon Nuzlocke Challenge is what I got going on. But to find our podcasts every Tuesday and Thursday going forward at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, as The Fan Connection, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, all as The Fan Connection. So look for us there. You can see our logo. If you're watching on Twitch, you can see our logo there. You can just look for that logo and you'll find it on all those platforms. Or you can tune in live on Twitch at my channel, SomeLazyGuy09, to tune in live. So to ask any questions you might have, it is an interactive podcast, and we're always happy to talk with you all. So we'll catch you all in the next one. We appreciate your support. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on Thursday.
See you guys.
See you.